Yo, it's your boy Jay Best, and welcome back to the Straight to the Point podcast, season 2, episode 25. On today's episode, I will be giving y'all my reaction to the NFL honors that took place last night. And then following that, I will be breaking down this Sunday Super Bowl matchup between the Chiefs and the 49ers. Also, I'm going to give y'all my pick and score. Then to end this episode, I will be giving a special message to Brock Purdy. All right. But as always, before I start this episode, I want to thank God for waking me up this morning, allow me to talk about sports, which is something that I love to do. And without him, I would not be here right now. So let's go ahead and let's get straight to the point. The NFL honors took place last night. This is the award show that the NFL has every year, and they give out the NFL awards. So the Offensive Player of the Year, the MVP, Defensive Player of the Year, etc. All right, I want to give y'all my reaction real quick. Don't want to spend too much time on it because we all know we got bigger fish to fry with this big game coming up this weekend. But I just want to basically kind of tell y'all who won the awards last night in case you haven't heard yet for some reason, and tell y'all who I thought should have won, and then give y'all a reason, my reason why as well. So I did an episode a couple weeks ago called, and I named one of the segments the Straight to the Point Award Show, where I gave out the MVP and the Offensive Player of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year, if it was up to me. All right, I did that a couple weeks ago. And let's start off with the MVP. My MVP this year, I picked Christian McCaffrey to get the MVP. Now, I know this is really a quarterback award, but I do feel like Christian McCaffrey had the best year this year. He was the best player on the best roster this year. He played out of his mind, of course. We're talking about 1,400 rushing yards along with 500 receiving yards. So he did get to 2,000 scrimmage yards. He had 21 total touchdowns this year. The Jets had 21 touchdowns this year. So that just shows you he had the same amount of touchdowns as a whole other NFL team, the exact same amount. So I thought he just had a great year and he should have been the MVP. But I mean, I knew it was going to go to a quarterback, but y'all know I've been really saying that Lamar Jackson should not win MVP this year, but he did end up winning the MVP. And it's not a hate thing. It's not me just being against Lamar Jackson. But if we're being honest and we look at his stats does not equal MVP. I mean, he was 15th in passing yards and he was 11th in passing touchdowns. I don't know the last MVP to not even be top 10 in two passing categories, right? I don't remember. Y'all got to pull it up and remind me because I don't think a quarterback has ever been outside of the top 10 in either category for passing and win the MVP. I mean, just look at it from Mahomes to A-Rod. Go back as far as you want to go, Peyton Manning. Nobody, no quarterback that won MVP only threw 3,678 yards. I'm just saying, right? At the end of the day, this is a statistical award because every QB that has won this award had the best stats in the league at the QB position. All right, so I do believe that the NFL dropped the ball on this one by giving Lamar this MVP. I mean, it's good for the culture. It's good. I understand all of that. But at the end of the day, what's right is right. What's wrong is wrong. And I do think Lamar Jackson should not have won the MVP this year. Just statistically, all right. He won games, but we all know the MVP is a statistical award. Yes, of course, you can't be on the worst team and win the MVP. I mean, that's just how it's been, right? But when you look at the players who was on good teams and had MVP caliber years, they had better stats than this. Is all I'm saying, right? This has to be probably the worst stats by MVP since before ever. You know, I just don't remember an MVP having these kind of numbers and winning. So that's just how I feel about it. But congratulations, Lamar Jackson, winning 2 MVPs on your first MVP campaign. I can't argue nothing against that. You earned it. The stats don't lie. But this year, it's a different story. It's night and day between his first MVP and his MVP now. Go check the stats for yourself. All right. Offensive Player of the Year did go to Christian McCaffrey. All right. I thought Christian McCaffrey would win the MVP. Well, I thought he should have won MVP. So I ended up giving Tyreek Hill the Offensive Player of the Year because you can't win both, right? So technically, I got this one right only because I had C-Mac winning the MVP, and because of that, I couldn't pick him to win Offensive Player of the Year. I picked Tyreek Hill, who was almost getting about 2,000 yards this year. He had 12 touchdowns and 112 catches. He had a crazy year this year. He was on pace to get to 2,000, but he kind of slowed down. But I still think he had a great year as a receiver. But Christian McCaffrey won this award. Cannot argue against it. Once again, I thought he was the best player this year, but he ended up getting the Offensive Player of the Year. So congratulations to Christian McCaffrey. Defensive Player of the Year, this was the snub of the night. Okay. I came up here banging this table, telling y'all that um, TJ Watt is by far the best player in the league. All right, Christian McCaffrey had the best year, but the best player in the league to me is TJ Watt. What he does on a game to game basis, all right, is like no other player. His impact on his team winning and losing is like no other player. All right, TJ Watt, sorry, this year had 19 sacks. All right, Myles Garrett wasn't even close. And Myles Garrett did win Defensive Player of the Year. I forgot to mention that. But TJ Watt to me was hands down the Defensive Player of the Year. He had 19 sacks compared to Myles Garrett's 14. He had 48 solo tackles compared to Myles Garrett's 33. He had 68 total tackles compared to Myles Garrett 42. If you want to look at them in the passing game, right, in the pass defense game, TJ Watt had 8 pass deflections. Myles Garrett had 3. We're looking at interceptions. TJ Watt had 1. Myles Garrett had none. All right, forced fumbles. TJ Watt had 4. Myles Garrett had 4, so he tied with that. But fumble recoveries, he had 3. Myles Garrett had 1, and then fumble recovery for touchdowns, TJ Watt had 1, and Myles Garrett had none. So majority of the stats was leaning towards TJ Watt. I believe this is the second time he's been snubbed in his career. To me, we are kind of we're wasting a generational talent, in my opinion. Because if we go in the record books and you look at how J.J. Watt dominated for the years that he dominated, he has Defensive Player of the Years to back it up. Same thing with Aaron Donald. When Aaron Donald was dominating in this league, he had the Defensive Player of the Years to back it up. When you look in the record books, T.J. Watt only has 1. But to me, he has been the best defensive player over the past 3 to 4 years. All right, no questions asked. So I feel like we are wasting a generational talent because we're not recognizing that generational talent. And this is not just me as a Steelers fan. This is me as just watching football. He makes plays week in and week out. When he plays, the Steelers 9 out of 10 will win the game. When he doesn't play, we're going to lose. Like, that's just how it's been. So I know you see the Steelers in the background and you saying he biased, but whatever. I'm being honest, being very truthful, being very real. TJ Watt is the best defensive player in the league. And I think the NFL dropped the ball on this one more than the MVP award. He dropped the ball on this one because everybody will remember this year as Myles Garrett's year, when Myles Garrett was not the best defensive player this year. All right, so that's enough on that. I'm not going to keep going because y'all know I can go all night on how I feel about TJ Watt not winning Defensive Player of the Year. All right, so but Myles Garrett, whatever. Congratulations, you won a fluky award. All right, so really you shouldn't feel good about yourself because you won an award that you really shouldn't have won. That's me being real. All right, we all being honest. Everybody in the world know TJ should have won that award. All right, Defensive Rookie of the Year did go to Will Anderson. All right, I knew it was a toss up between Will and Jalen Carter, but I did pick Jalen Carter. I think Jalen Carter was on a crowded D line, so he really couldn't get the stats if that makes sense. Will Anderson, he had the stats because he was the guy carrying the D line. You can look at it 2 ways. You can look at it as well. Jalen Carter had to share the wealth, but you can also look at it as Will Anderson had the most attention, right? So I think Will Anderson was well deserving of this award. I'm not knocking it at all. I think that it was between him and Jalen Carter. I did pick Jalen Carter, but Will Anderson, congratulations for the Houston Texans. All right, Offensive Rookie of the Year, I picked C.J. Stroud. To me, it was between C.J. Stroud and Puka Nacua. But I did end up going with C.J. Stroud, who had 3,800 passing yards, 63 completion percentage, 21 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. To me, he over exceeded expectations by a mile. All right, like Bryce Young with the Carolina Panthers, I knew it was going to take time for him to adjust because he has just as many weapons as C.J. Stroud has, right? Same thing with CJ. I thought CJ would need some time to adjust, but he came into the league and he adjusted on the fly. And it did not take long before he started looking like a real NFL quarterback. Houston, your future is bright. You had an offensive rookie of the year and defensive rookie of the year. Should have had a coach of the year, but that's a whole nother conversation for another day. But I do believe, actually, for the next 5 minutes, I'll be talking about that. But I do think that Houston, the future is very bright. All right. So I did get that one right. And then Coach of the Year, once again, I thought D'Amico Ryan should have won, but Kevin Stefanski ended up winning. And I guess the Kevin Stefanski argument is going to be, well, he lost Nick Chubb, his best player on offense, probably the best player on his team, unless people want to say Myles Garrett. And then you also look at the fact that he lost to Deshaun Watson and was able to still be successful with Joe Flacco at quarterback. To me personally, out of the candidates that was up for Coach of the Year, Kyle Shanahan should not have been in there, and it's only because Kyle Shanahan is he has a great offensive mind. He's a great play caller. I think he's the best play caller in the league, but his roster is too stacked to be in a Coach of the Year conversation. To me, Coach of the Year should be who did the most with the least amount of talent. That's what Coach of the Year means, in my opinion. I think that it should be who turned, in biblical terms, who turned water into wine, if that makes sense. Not trying to be crazy and compare these dudes to Jesus. I'm just saying who had the least amount of talent and had the best outcome. And to me, it should have been between D'Amico Ryans, and I would have replaced Kyle Shanahan with Matt LaFleur, and it should have been between those two guys because both of them had a first-year starter at quarterback. Had C.J. Stroud, who's an actual rookie with D'Amico Ryans, and then with Matt LaFleur, we had Jordan Love, who is just his first year starting after sending under A-Rod, right? And then both quarterbacks did not have a skill position player that is a top 25, top 30 skill position player in the league. All right, you can argue Aaron Jones, running back for the Packers, but he was hurt throughout the years, and Jordan Love didn't even have him consistently. But neither one of these guys had a legit number one receiver, right? Neither one of these guys had a legit number, like a great tight end. Once again, Jordan Love had Aaron Jones, but he was dealing with injury, and he's kind of taking a step back when we talk about the elite running backs in the league. All right, so I do think that because they got those two quarterbacks to where they got them to, not only did they make the playoffs, but they won a game in the playoffs. Both won a game in games they was not favored in. I don't think the Texans was favored against the Browns, and D'Amico Ryans took C.J. Stroud in their first ever playoff game together, won that game. Matt LaFleur took Jordan Love into Dallas, beat Dallas in the first round. I do think that should have also played a role in who won this year with Coach of the Year. So I do think it should have came down to D'Amico Ryans and Matt LaFleur. To me, either one could have won. I would have picked D'Amico, but if Matt won, he was well deserving of it. Kevin Stefanski did a good job this year, but I do think he had more to work with than D'Amico and Matt LaFleur. But it should have been D'Amico to me. But congratulations, Kevin Stefanski, on winning that award. All right. So we're gonna move on from the NFL honors, y'all. Congratulations to everyone that won an award this year. Whether I thought you should have won it or not, you did at the end of the day. So good year for great job for all the individuals that won the award this year. All right, but now let's get to it, man. The Super Bowl is this Sunday in Las Vegas. Before I kind of break down the matchup, I want to kind of explain how both teams got here. All right, and it's crazy because it was two completely different paths to get to the same place. And when I say that, I mean the way they built their team. So you look at the Chiefs, all right, Patrick Mahomes, who a lot of people are arguing is a top five quarterback all time. I came up here and said how I disagree with that statement. Actually, I did say he's top five, but some people saying he's the best quarterback of all time. I'll give you four. I'll give you five. But to say he's the best quarterback of all time to me is just disrespectful to the OGs. I already talked about that. If y'all saw that episode, if you didn't, go check it out. I was spitting facts, all right. But you look at this Chiefs team with Patrick Mahomes, and they built a team around Patrick. All right, that's what they did. All right, they traded up in the draft, they got their guy, and they built a team around him. The 49ers, on the other hand, they had a team that was already built. They went and they drafted a quarterback with the last pick in the draft. Mind you, they drafted Brock Purdy, having Trey Lance and Jimmy Garoppolo on the roster. So they didn't really draft Brock Purdy to start, right? But Brock Purdy got to the team, and in training camp, he put on a performance, and they said, you know what, we might have something in Brock just in case something happens. Well, Trey Lance gets hurt, Jimmy Garoppolo gets hurt, Brock Purdy got in, he took the baton from Jimmy G, and never looked back and never gave it back. And he took this team last year's in the AFC Championship. We all know what happened. He got hurt, and then they ended up losing that game to the Eagles. Then this year he runs it back. He takes this team to the Super Bowl, right? Patrick Mahomes went into this year. We all kind of said that the Chiefs don't look the same, right? They don't. I mean, they look the same they did last year when they started playing. We was like, this team don't look right. I have came on here on several occasions and talked about how I think the Chiefs are crumbling. They're falling apart. We all remember them losing to the Broncos and losing to the Raiders, them losing to the Bills, and Patrick Mahomes crying and yelling on the sideline. I thought this team was falling apart. I thought this team was imploding. But they shut me up. They went in the first round at home, beat Miami, who to me were frauds anyway. So I don't really give them credit for that win. But then they went into Buffalo. They beat Josh Allen, the team that beat them in the regular season. Then they went into Baltimore and beat the Ravens. All right. So, and then with the 49ers, they got the first round bye. They went against the Packers for the second round of playoffs. It was kind of scary for a second, right? But Brock Purdy led a comeback drive, and they came back and won that game. And then against the Lions, the first half, we all thought, well, most people thought the 49ers were done for. But second half, they came back, got it together, and now they're in the Super Bowl against the Chiefs, all right? So both teams took different paths to get to Las Vegas. But now that we're in Las Vegas, and the game's on Sunday, I got to give y'all a pick, and also got to give y'all a reason why I'm picking who I'm picking. All right, Chiefs versus 49ers. I'm going with the 49ers. All right, this is no disrespect to Patrick Mahomes, who has shown his greatness throughout this year with what he has. All right, we all know outside of Travis Kelce, he really doesn't have much, right? But getting to this moment right now just shows that he is special. All right, so I'm not taking nothing from him or Travis Kelce or Andy Reid or that defense. I'm not taking anything from the Chiefs. I just think that this is their biggest test throughout this whole entire playoff run. I do. I think that if we look at the first round, all right, they played the Miami Dolphins. To me, that was like I said, Miami is a fluky team. I didn't believe in Miami from the start. All right, then you go against Buffalo. And I'm sorry, let me backtrack a little bit. My pick, the 49ers, I'm going 24-20. All right, 24-20. I'm taking the 49ers. Now, here's why. The Chiefs have played, to me, this is going to be a tough test. They played the Miami Dolphins, who I said was easy. I've been said they frauds throughout the whole entire year. The next round against the Bills, the Chiefs went into that game knowing if we can contain Josh Allen, 9 times out of 10, we're gonna win this game, right? Because that team, their offense is built around Josh Allen. That offense runs through Josh Allen. If Josh Allen plays well, the offense does good. If Josh Allen does bad, the offense does bad. And that offense is very quarterback based. He's the run game. He's the pass game. So really, all eyes were just on Josh Allen. Not saying that to go to guard him was easy, but that was on the game plan. Stop Josh Allen, we can win this game, right? You look at the Baltimore Ravens. When you went against Baltimore, it was the same thing. Lamar and Josh Allen, both of them are the offense, right, with their legs and with their arm. If we can stop the quarterback, if we can contain the quarterback, stop him from making big plays, we're going to win this game. To me, going against the 49ers, you're not worried about the quarterback right now. You're worried about Christian McCaffrey. That's who you're worried about. Who, to me, put on an MVP caliber year this year. In the playoffs, he's been putting on an MVP kind of performance, right? Getting in the end zone almost every single game. It's just what he does. He's that special of a player. You got to worry about the run game first. And then you got to worry about the pass game. And the problem with this pass game is when you look at the Bills in the pass game, who you worry about? Stephon Diggs? Maybe Dalton Kincaid, right? It's Stephon Diggs, then it's a drop off. So I'm worried about James Cook, Dalton Kincaid, Gabe Davis, right? A bunch of average to above average players with the Baltimore Ravens. You stop Lamar Jackson, you're worried about maybe Mark Andrews, who's coming off an injury. Then after that, it's a drop off. Not really. Zay Flowers, right? He's all right. But then you look at Odell Beckham Jr., who's not really a factor. You look at Isaiah Likely, who is not a factor anymore. Now that Mark Andrews is back, you look at that backfield, the Ravens didn't run the ball no more. So to me, it was an easy defense. With the 49ers in the pass game, you worry about Debo. and George Kittle and Brandon Ayuk and even Christian McCaffrey in the pass game, even Kyle Juszczyk in the pass game. You're worried about even Jawan Jennings, who makes a catch every now and then in the pass game. They have weapons, and Brock Purdy can get the ball to the weapons. That's the best part about Brock Purdy. He can get the ball to his playmakers. All right, so you're not only worried about the run game, but you're worried about the pass game, and you're worried about three different all pro caliber players in the pass game. And Brock Purdy can also use his legs. I feel like it's just a lot to guard. It's a lot to contain. It's way more than they've had to contain over the past couple of weeks. So my first reason is this is their toughest test. All right. My second reason for picking the 49ers is the 49ers run game. All right, the 49ers against the Lions had 155, all right? And the Lions are known, their defense is only known for stopping the run, right? And they still had 155. Against the Packers, they had 111. They played from behind most of the game, so we really can't talk about their rushing yard. They probably would have had more if they had a lead, but because they played from behind, they had to get 111. But still, 111 is good, all right? The Chiefs this year, let's just start off with every game that they lost this year. So they lost 6 games this year. They allowed in every single game they lost. So starting from the Lions and ending with the Raiders, their last regular season loss. When they lost to the Lions, they allowed 118 rushing yards. When they lost to the Broncos, they allowed 153 rushing yards. When they lost to the Eagles, they allowed 114. When they lost to the Packers, they allowed 129. When they lost to the Bills, the first time in the regular season they lost, they allowed 118. Sorry. And then when they lost to the Raiders, they allowed 157. In that playoff game against the Bills that they barely won, 27-24, they allowed 182 yards. So if you just have a good run game, you're going to be in the game, right? If you can just run the ball in this defense, and this defense has shown they can be ran on, you're going to be in the game. And then 9 times out of 10, so in out of 7 games, the Chiefs only won once when they gave up crazy rushing yards and only won that game by 3 points. So you're looking at really it's really in your favor if you can run the ball on this team. And what does Kyle Shanahan like to do most? Run the football. And he has that luxury of having Christian McCaffrey at the running back position. Last time they played the Chiefs in the Super Bowl, you had Raheem Mostert and Tevin Coleman and Matt Breida. You had a stable. Right now, you have the best running back in football right now. All right, so I think that's going to be a tough task for the Chiefs, and we've seen the Chiefs get got in the past in the run game this year. All right, so I do think that Kyle Shanahan can exploit that. And then my last reason, the pass rush. All right, we've seen Mahomes play in 2 Super Bowls. Well, we've seen him play in 3 Super Bowls. All right, dismissing the 49ers one, the one that he won. We look at the Bucks and the Eagles. All right, the 2 most recent ones against the Bucks. We all remember that game. Mahomes was under pressure the whole entire game. They was just after Mahomes, after Mahomes. They had 3 sacks. This is when Shaq Barrett and Jason Pierre-Paul, and this is when that whole D line for the Bucks and that front 7 was just eating Mahomes alive. Yes, Mahomes had some O-line injuries, but the Bucks defense came after Mahomes. All right. Last year in Super Bowl against the Eagles defense that led the league in sacks had 0 sacks on Mahomes. I remember last year when I came out, my video after the Super Bowl, I talked about how the Eagles did not get any pressure on Mahomes, and Mahomes just ate them alive. All right, that's the recipe for disaster right there. I believe that Chase Young being added to this defense and having Nick Bosa on the other side. Mind you, Nick Bosa just had 2 sacks against the Lions. Chase Young is the X factor in this game. Chase Young has to show why he was the number 2 pick in the draft. I believe number 2 or number 1. He was the top 2 pick in the draft. I want to say number 2 pick in the draft by the Washington Commanders. He has to show why. He has to go in there and get pressure. You're not going to have Andy Reid knows I got to stop Nick Bosa. So now all eyes not going to be on you. You're going to get one-on-one matchups. You got to win those, Chase. Chase gets to the quarterback, put pressure on Mahomes. Mind you, the interior D-line for the 49ers ain't no scrubs. They got Javon Hargraves and Eric Armstead. And on the outside, Nick Bosa and Chase Young. They have 4 nice, very nice D linemen, all right, that can get to the quarterback. And Joe Thuney, starting left guard for the Chiefs, might not play. He's most likely not to play. And he's arguably their best O lineman beside Creed Humphrey at center. So I'm looking at them losing one of their best O linemen. You having all four of your studs on that D line get to the quarterback, make him under pressure. Now, I'm not saying Mahomes can't handle pressure, but when you look at the two Super Bowls between the Eagles and the Bucks, it's night and day. One team got pressure, made Mahomes struggle. One team did not get pressure. Mahomes tore up the Eagles last year. All right, and the stats didn't even look that good, right? Mahomes kind of had stat wise, it was a pretty pedestrian game, but he was making plays throughout because he wasn't getting any pressure. All right, so I do think that this 49ers D line can get to Mahomes, and I think that's going to lead to a lot of three and outs, a lot of maybe field goals, a lot of settling, and a lot of third and long, second and longs. And I think that it's going to fall into the 49ers' favor. They can get pressure if they can run the ball well, which I believe they will. And then once again, I think the Chiefs have not played an offense of this caliber yet in this entire playoffs. And we've seen their defense get got this throughout this year by less teams, by worse teams. So I do think the 49ers do have the edge in this game. I'm going with the 49ers 24-20. All right, I hate doing scores. All right, so the 49ers win. I don't care what the score is. As long as they win, I was right. All right, bump that score. All right, but I'm going to do a score just for y'all because I see everybody else doing scores. All right, so I do have the 49ers 24-20. And then one more quick reason why I believe the 49ers has this game is because Kyle Shanahan, you got to win a bowl. The first Super Bowl you was in, you blew a lead against, remember, he was offensive coordinator for the Atlanta Falcons, blew the lead against the Patriots. All right. And then fast forwarded to the Super Bowl against the Chiefs a couple years ago. He blew a lead in that game, too. But we all know why the lead was low key blown in that game because of Jimmy Garoppolo. And speaking of Jimmy Garoppolo, speaking of quarterback, I got to talk to my man, Brock Purdy, real quick. And then I'm done with this episode. I'm going to drop the mic. Brock Purdy, you are in, some people like to say, you are in what we like to call a pickle. You're in a pickle. All right, you're in a tough situation. You're going against a great quarterback in Patrick Mahomes, who's just the better quarterback. Let's be honest, he's elite. Brock Purdy, I said it. He's between game managing and elite. He's between there. He's not a game manager. He's not elite. He's in between there. I don't know if y'all been watching sports shows and everything like that, but people are still having questions about Brock Purdy. All right, Brock Purdy hasn't changed anybody's mind this year, which is crazy. Brock Purdy's had a great year. He's had an MVP caliber year this year. All right. And he's also gotten his team to the Super Bowl this year. But nobody seems to really want to give Brock Purdy credit that he deserves. A lot of people are just so hesitant to say that Brock Purdy is the guy. The last time the 49ers won the Super Bowl, they had Jimmy Garoppolo. And we all know that Jimmy G missed that open pass to Emmanuel Sanders. You want to pull it up, pull it up. I also have it playing right now. He missed the open pass to Emmanuel Sanders. That could have put the nail in the coffin, and then Kyle Shanahan, the 49ers, could have a Super Bowl ring right now. But he missed it. And the conversation following that was a game managing quarterback cannot go into the Super Bowl and win a game because eventually you got to make a play. Eventually you got to make a pass to win the game. Jimmy G couldn't do it. He cracked under pressure. He folded and lost the game. Well, that led to the comeback, lost the game. All right. Um, if you lose the Super Bowl, Brock Purdy, it's going to be the same conversation. Kyle Shanahan is still a quarterback away from winning the Super Bowl if you lose this game. That's how much pressure. Your future is on the line this Sunday. Brock Purdy, you have done nothing but great things since you've been in the league. I'm one of the ones, I'm behind you. I believe that you are, like I said, between game planning, game managing, between elite. I'm not going to say you're elite yet because I think it's just unfair for me to say, I don't throw out the word elite like that. And I don't think that you are at that Mahomes level, that Josh Allen level, that Aaron Rodgers level. I just don't think that you're elite like that. All right? Talent-wise. I'm talking about strictly talent. You're not game managing either because game managing is Jimmy Garoppolo. That is, if you looked in a dictionary, looked up game managing, it's a big fat picture of Jimmy Garoppolo cheesing because that is him. He is a game manager and nothing more. All right. Brock Purdy, you're in the middle. To me, you are a top 15 quarterback in this league, knocking on top 10. Honestly, that's the love I give you on this show. I give you your respect. You are that. You're not that guy. I'm not going. I'm not going to go that far. But you are a good quarterback. People are not. People are so hesitant to give you that credit, to give you that title. So if you lose this game, it's going to be the same conversation that they had in 2020 when they had the first Super Bowl. It's going to be, hey, you're still a quarterback away. You still have a Kyle Shanahan still has a game manager at QB and can't get the job done. So Brock Purdy, you don't need to win this game. You don't. I'm not suggesting you win this game. You have to win. You have to win this game. Like I don't care if you play good and they still lose this game. Y'all still lose this game even if you play well. The verdict is still going to be out for Brock Purdy. Nobody will say that he is the guy. They're only going to say you're the guy. They're only going to say you're the future. They're only going to say you are the answer if you go and win the Super Bowl. It's unfair. I think the pressure is unfair. This is your first ever Super Bowl, right? You're going against a great quarterback in Patrick Mahomes, who has been in Super Bowls. This is his fourth Super Bowl, right? So I do think that you're up against the Wolves. I do think that you are in a tough task right now. But you do have a great slingshot. David, when he gets Goliath and he had that slingshot, you have one heck of a slingshot. Your slingshot contains Kyle Shanahan, best play caller in the league, in my opinion. Your slingshot contains Christian McCaffrey, best running back in the league, in my opinion. Your slingshot contains Deebo Samuel, one of the best weapons in the league, in my opinion. Your slingshot contains George Kittle, one of the best tight ends in the league, in my opinion. Your slingshot contains Brandon Ayuk, a young and upcoming. He's not there yet. He's not top 10 yet, but he's top 15, top 20, somewhere around there as a receiver. All right. Your slingshot contains Trent Williams, the best left tackle in the league. Your slingshot also contains a defense full of studs, full of Chase Youngs and Nick Bosa's and Javon Hargraves and Fred Warners and Dre Greenlaws and Javarius Wards. And I can go on and on about that defense. The offense, you have weapons. You have the best fullback in the league in Kyle Juszczyk. Your slingshot is full. You just got to pull that thing back and make sure you hit the Chiefs on target. And I promise you, you will be walking out of Las Vegas with the ring. I promise you. But Brock, you got to do it. You got to do it. Not just for you, but for me. I'm putting my reputation on the line. I'm picking you to win the Super Bowl over Mahomes because I believe in Brock Purdy. I do think Brock Purdy will be a great quarterback in this league. First year NFC Championship, second year Super Bowl. I don't care who's around him, and that's the problem. We keep talking about who's around him. We're not talking about the guy that's running the show in Brock Purdy. All right, all of this. You're doing all of this, and you was Mr. Irrelevant a year ago. Brock, I believe in you. I believe in you. I'm picking you to win this game, and bro, you gotta win. Because if you don't, it's gonna be questions to answer come Monday. All right. But that is it for today's episode, man. I pray that y'all enjoyed it because I enjoyed it myself. All right, I was really looking forward to this all week. I was preparing for what I was going to do for this episode, preparing my notes and everything, and hopefully I did give y'all a great episode, man. But the Super Bowl is this weekend, man. Make sure y'all tune in not only for a great Super Bowl game, but for a halftime show with Usher. All right, so make sure y'all enjoy this year, man. This year went by so fast, and this is the icing on the cake right here. This is the finish line. Who will get through the tape first? All right, the Chiefs or the 49ers. All right, I'll see y'all next week. Much love. Y'all stay blessed. I'm out.